Hi there, YouTube. It's me, Mrs. Mitchell, and I hope this is gonna work because I'm trying to do this live thing for the first time, but I'm really going to be doing hashtag tarotobsessed, which is put on by Katey Flowers, and it's 16 questions. I think it was originally a Oracle obsessed tag, but I didn't get on board with that one, but very bad connection. What the heck? Anyhow, well, I think it's still working. Yeah, so it's 16 questions, and this one is pertaining to tarot. She adapted it from the Oracle Obsessed tag to a Tarot Obsessed tag. So I'm gonna stop rambling, which is hard to do, and I am gonna just start answering questions. All right, so obviously number one is, what was your very first tarot deck? So for me, this was my very first tarot deck. This is the Renaissance Tarot from Brian Williams, who is no longer with us, unfortunately. He created lots of other decks. I wish, this is a deck that I really want to start working with more again. Just because I feel like now, after using tarot for so long, I might have a new appreciation for it. The only thing that I dislike about this deck, other than the fact that it's very pippish, is that the elements are changed, the elemental associations are changed between the wands and the swords. You know, so fire and air are switched, which kind of throws me off. There's the swords. They are illustrated pips, I guess you could say. And I do actually still really love the artwork. I mean, just look at the tower card. It's just beautiful. And I remember getting it and looking through the sample deck at the store, and it was the first one that I picked out for myself. That wasn't just from Barnes & Noble, but anyhow, it's very good if anybody out there likes pip-ish. And it does have small keywords up in the corner, which you probably can't see because this thing is telling me I have a very bad connection, even though I have full service, but I'm just gonna keep going. If it comes out bad, I'll just delete it. There's the Two of Cups, beautiful. You see the figures in the bottom. Anyhow, like I said, now that I'm holding it especially, I'm like, oh, this is a deck that I really do want to start working with more. Now, number two is, what is your current favorite deck? Now, I have my favorite deck that's my soul deck, always be my favorite deck, but right now the one that is new to me, that is what I've been working with now and getting to know, is the Cook's Tarot. I wanted this for so long. It was on my wish list for so long because I really love this funky, almost urban, I guess, feeling. I don't really know. It just reminds me of stuff I remember seeing as a kid, on billboards and in not in restaurants, in the grocery store and stuff, just with the thick lines. I always picture seeing pictures of food drawn like this. Some of the aces are actually very reminiscent of that. But anyhow, this is great. This is done by Schiffer. Unfortunately, that's the double card. I love that. See, she's reaching for the cake. The Three of Cups, beautiful. I just love it. It's fun. It's funky. It's colorful. It makes me happy. It's definitely my current favorite. I'm also a cook, so it's even better for me in that way. I can really relate to it with all the kitchen humor, I guess, that's in here. Here we have the Six of Wands, and that's just great. He's just holding spoons instead. I don't know. I like it. It's great. It's definitely my current favorite, but my all-time favorite. And this is going to be also my answer for the next question, number 3, which is, what is your most used tarot deck? And that for me would have to be the Anna K Tarot. This is my favorite deck of all time, my soul deck. It speaks to me like nobody else. Definitely my favorite. It's abused, it's used. The edges are all chipped. all chipped terribly because it's the Llewellyn one. I'm really considering and wanting and longing for the second edition self-published. If I could get my hands on the first edition, that would be great, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite deck. It is Rider Waite-ish, but she does go off on her own on the depictions of the cards and some of them. And it's just something with this art and the expressions on their faces. I literally feel like they're talking to me and they're talking to each other in the reading. Oh, look at that chariot. It's just beautiful. I love how he's just like, cha-cha, going away, up and flying into the sun. It's amazing. I love it. I'm going to have to get a new copy of this just to have. All right, before I ramble on too much on that, we're gonna go to question number 4, and I really hope this is still working. But this is an experiment anyway. Usually I have to do it like a couple times anyway, so we'll see. What is your least used tarot deck is number 4. So for me, oh no, I touched it. Good God. I'm going to keep it real with anybody that's actually watching this out there, whether it's now or at another time. I seriously made a stand out of Legos, so that's why I was very afraid when I thought it was just going to fall. But anyhow, your least used tarot deck. I haven't had this one in my collection very long, and I really thought that I was going to instantly connected with it, and I really thought that I was just going to instantly love it and like need to use it every day. But it's the Inner Child cards, which they are beautiful. It is still a tarot because it does have, you know, the 4 suits and the major arcana. All the majors are changed. All the names of everything is changed. All the meanings are pretty much, not all of them, but a lot of them are changed. So I think that that's why it's just taken me a little bit. I've been like working with the book more than the cards, and some of the cards are a little I don't know how to put it, like I do like the artwork, but there's a couple cards where I'm just kind of like, ew, like I don't really like the drawing, I guess, as much as other decks. It is very storybook, but some of them I just felt like I didn't really care for how they were drawn. And, you know, I think that that's part of, like, why I need to work with this deck is because, obviously, it's for your inner child, and if those cards are making me uncomfortable, maybe that's something I need to look into, because it is beautiful. And honestly, on this deck, like, usually, like, this would just seem, like, horrifying to me. Like, I'd be like, snip, snip, but it's, I don't know, it works. I think it's just with the childlikeness of this deck. But yeah, this is my least used deck. Even though I really do love it, and I wish that, like, I don't know, I wish I used it more. I can't hear its voice speaking to me yet, I guess. And also, they're ridiculously huge, so that could be another reason, like, even without me thinking of it, that could be another reason of why I am not reaching towards this, because here, let me just show. This is the Renaissance Tarot. This is what I considered a standard deck here. We'll compare this. All right, and there's the Wildwood. So let's swap it around here. First, we'll compare to the names. Pretty standard size here. It's hard to match up the corners because of such a huge size difference. That is just crazy. So you got that. Wow. Yeah. So these cards are huge, and I have very large hands. I'm just gonna say I have very large hands, so they are big even for me to hold. I'll compare it to the Wildwood because I know a lot of people have that deck also. You can see there's a very big difference in that size. And the cardstock is very thin, and it makes it very difficult to shuffle. But yeah, before I ramble on too much on that, let's move along to question 5. It says, how did you learn tarot? Oh, Jesus, I must have bumped it again. I'm sorry for this horrible quality. I'm not filming in my usual spot because it's cold out there. How did you learn tarot? Alright, so I pretty much self-taught, reading the book. The little white book from this deck looks horrifying. But I also I didn't bring it in here with me, but I had the companion book for that, and just reading the other guidebooks. I have like a few books on it. Tarot for Yourself from, I believe, is it Mary Greer? That was very helpful. Other books that I even got at like thrift shops and older books like that. And also just from using my intuition and not really using the book. I think that helped me more than anything. And once I learned about the elemental associations more with each card, and especially the court cards and stuff, that made it a lot easier. And also a lot of the stuff that I think all of us learn and share and know and expand our knowledge with comes from right here from our YouTube community or our study groups in Facebook, or back before Eclectic Tarot was gone. Be on Eclectic Tarot all the time, reading forums, reading other people's ideas, absorbing. So definitely self-taught. I got this deck. I've had this deck, my first deck, which it's my first tarot deck. I had the Answer deck from Barnes and Noble before and stuff like that, you know. But this was my first official tarot deck, and I've had this deck for 11 years now. So just absorbing over time, I suppose. Definitely self-taught, though. Okay, question number 6, before this gets forever long, because there's 16 questions. What do you use tarot for? So I definitely use tarot for divination, connecting to my guides. But I think the most thing that I use it for, also healing myself, you know, things of that nature, but it's also my time for self-care. So me spending those couple minutes standing in my kitchen, or sitting at a desk, or just what have you, because I'll just, wherever in my house, doesn't matter. If I have time and I need a moment to myself, just get a deck, just start shuffling. It's very relaxing. Definitely use it for relaxation, and it's kind of like a hobby in a way for me, honestly. I don't know if that sounds insulting to anybody, but I don't look at it like that. I've been doing it for a while, and it definitely is my self-care time, and just something that I know is going to be a lifelong study, I suppose. And that's what I like about it. I like that there's always something else I can learn. There's always another book I can read about it. There's always some other tip or little piece of knowledge that's going to like click in a different way in my mind that I might have heard before, but this time it made a bigger impact. There's so many different combinations in these cards. You're never going to have the same reading twice. Like, it's just amazing. And I could just keep going on and on and on, because it really is amazing. And I love it, because sometimes, you know, you have those moments when you're like, ooh, tarot, you're telling me what's what, why. Like, I know my Morgan Greer deck can be quite spicy at times. Anyhow, let's move on to question 7. How do you read tarot? It says intuition or by the book. And I think I do a little of both. It honestly depends on the deck, I think. You know, most off I go off intuition, you know. But other decks even okay, like this one, because where everything is the inner child cards, because where everything's the names are changed and the system's different, even though I will still interpret the card myself with my intuition. Same thing with here, I have the same thing with the Wildwood here. Even though I do look at the card and just see what the feeling that I'm getting off of it is, I also do, like, just for when I'm reading for myself, just for study purposes, to do, you know, look into the card, see what I feel, and then I will reference the book after, or if there's something that I'm unsure of or if I'm just curious of why is this the fox, you know, then it's just for my own knowledge, really, when I look at the book. But I also kind of feel like I don't let the book meaning take over. I think that honestly limited me for a long time in my reading, was following the book too much and constantly looking into the book, instead of just letting myself feel the energy of the card. And that can be quite limiting. And then you have 2 books, then you have 3 books, then you're looking in all of them. Then by the end of going through even the 3 card reading, you got so many different keywords and phrases and descriptions of things that you just don't even know what it's trying to tell you anymore. When if you could have just listened to yourself in the first place, then it would have been obvious. Okay, number 8. Do you use spreads? I'm going to say yes and no on this. You know, I'll do it depends, you know, if somebody wants a general reading or something, I can do a Celtic cross, or I have like this triangular shaped spread I made myself that I use a lot. But when I'm like kind of creating one on the fly or making something pertaining to a specific question, a lot of the times it's not that I'm so much using a spread with each position being completely concrete. I'm looking more at the interaction and the direction of the reading, you know. So I look at, you know, just, let's see. Okay, so these 2 figures are looking towards each other, like things like that, instead of just, here, I'll just show you this while I'm talking here, but, you know, see how they're interacting, see what's above, see what's below. So I guess I use kind of direction in a way, and I see trends in things. So like it depends. If I'm creating a spread, it's not so much a spread, it's just me following the question through the cards. I will set them out depending. It's kind of like, now that I'm thinking of it, I'm like, it's kind of hard to explain when I'm just talking. I wish that I would have planned this out better, actually, now that I realized how much I would like to go into this. Maybe I need to write it down so I could make a whole video of just spreads but not spreads, I guess. Anyhow, that's a whole different thing. Alright. Do you mix the tarot with other divination systems? So yeah, I definitely do. Mix them with oracle cards. I brought these out to show you because I like these. I just keep at home. I would not bring these out anywhere with me because they're very special to me. If I'm doing a reading at home and it's like, you know, like for one of my friends or something, at the end of the reading, just for like an extra piece of advice or a key, I might, you know, let them pick out of the bag one of these. These are crone stones. Had these for about 10 years too. I should at least see who made it here. This is by Carol Lee Campbell. I don't even see a publisher on here. But I have had them for a long time. They're all very simple drawings, and it's just fun. You know, people that I'm doing the reading for will like to pick it themselves, or I can even just toss them gently over a reading, you know, like a Celtic cross or something like that. Toss it over a reading and just see where they land and what it's telling us. Those are very fun, and I love them. So I mix it with that. I'm currently been studying the runes for probably 6 months now. Just reading. So eventually I would like to try to mix runes also. Alright, what makes a great tarot deck? Question 10. So, I guess for me, when I was like thinking of this question, it's not so much, I guess it's not really the deck itself that makes it great, but it's your connection to the deck. So, you know, a deck that you might find beautiful and that speaks to you might not speak to me. Just like, you know, okay, so the Anna K, other people might not like this style drawing, but when I read this deck, I can hear them in, like, practically telling me. Like, it's just so clear to me. But other people might feel like it's too off for them. So I think it's just about the voice and the tone of the deck to the person. You have a relationship with it. Some people rub other people the wrong way, just like some decks rub people the wrong way. So I don't know if that's cheating by not really answering the question. But that's my answer. All right, let's see. Number 11, how important is it to you that a deck sticks to the tarot system? Now for this is what I was saying a little bit with the inner child cards, and again, same situation with the Wildwood Tarot, where they are both tarot because they have the 4 suits, they have the major arcana, and the court cards. And I think as long as it has that, it's okay, but both of these decks are different systems. Like, they each have their own system. They are not even the same system. This is its own, this is its own. Like, so I think sometimes it becomes hard when you're trying to squeeze these cards into a Rider-Waite box. I've definitely found that with the Wildwood, and since I've been working with that for a few months also, since I got it, like, I haven't been able to put it down. Then I tried to do the Into the Wildwoods challenge, which I'm failing at because I'm just not good at Instagram. But when you free it from the Rider-Waite box, it makes it a lot easier to hear what it's trying to say to you. And I'm hoping that I can get there with this inner child deck. Get to understand at least a little with its system, which, let's look at that hefty book. That's a hefty book. Like, yeah. So it's gonna take a little bit, but I'm almost there. But yeah, so as long as they don't, like, add a suit or take a suit away or not have the right amount of cards or something, then I guess I'm fine with it, not strictly adhering to, per se, the Rider-Waite or the Marseille or whatever other system that people want to use. But as long as it's actually tarot. When it's an oracle and they say that it's tarot, I'm not on board with that. Because if it's an oracle deck, just tell us it's an oracle deck, that's fine. Like, but I want to know before I buy it, that's all. Anyhow, question 12, simple. Do you have any backup decks? Nope, I do not. Pretty much all my decks can fit into this box, except not all of them that have, like this one, just the book is just too huge, the box is crazy. So I don't have a big collection. I have like a struggle with that because I would love to have so many decks, but I have fear that I would be too wrapped up into the consumerism part of it and not with actually connecting to the decks that I really want. But that's beside the point. I do not have a backup deck. I want to get a backup Anna K, but that's about it. Do you have any unusual or unique decks? Not really. I wouldn't say I really have anything unusual or unique. The most unusual deck I would say, though, just because it's funky, is the Tarot of the Absurd, which we were looking through a little bit earlier. This is Rider-Waite, but just the artwork is very funky. It's black and white. It's great. It makes you smile. The characters are silly. See if I can get a little closer for you so you can see their silly faces. And she's looking down on them. It's very funky. So I suppose it's unusual in the fact that it's black and white and the way that the characters look. But I am in love with it. This is one also that I wish that I reached more for. Look how silly his hair is. I just love it. It's beautiful. Look at them. Look, just, I don't know. I just love it. Oh, look at her. She's fierce. It's just so simple, but there's so much to it. I suppose it is unusual. This card is especially unusual to me. I don't know. I really enjoy it though. As I'm just sitting here flipping through, like not answering any more questions. But anyhow, question 14. What is your current deck crush? So, like I said about how, like, the size of my collection, I don't really, I try to resist just the, like, overconsumption part of, like, buying a bunch of decks. And don't anybody take this as an insult. If you have a big collection, oh, don't get me wrong, I'm jealous. Like, that's awesome. But, I just can't justify spending the money when I just don't have it to throw around. But there are definitely a few on my wish list, don't get me wrong. Definitely the Prisma Visions, the Templar Tarot, I definitely like someday. Like, I need that in my life. It's just amazing. A lot of the ones that I really wanted, like I have the Fountain and the World Spirit and the Morgan Greer, because the Morgan Greer really spoke to me. You know, I have decks and I'm trying to, like, not just buy a deck if I feel like it's just gonna be almost like a duplicate. Like, I don't want to buy a bunch of, like, the same exact decks, pretty much. Or, like, oh, buy a bunch of dark decks but then I already have dark decks. Or buy a bunch of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know, I don't want to just have, like, multiples of the same idea where it's just gonna sit on my shelf or sit in this box. Well, it won't anymore. It won't really fit in there. Yeah, I just don't want to just have a bunch of ones that I'm not able to use, because I want to enjoy them and I want to get to know each deck. Next question, super simple also, number 15. Do you read reversals? No, I do not. You know, I tried to read reversals for about for a while, like more than a year or whatever. And honestly, I felt like it just definitely muddied the water. I feel like the decks have a balance of dark and light as it is. So when you flip them, it just muddies the water too much for me. I always wonder if I was just holding the deck upside down, like, you know, like if I'm just holding it upside down, that's why they're reversed, or the other way around, that's why they were right side up. It just becomes a mess to me, and I just can't stand when the cards are all like a mess. When I see it and they're all mixed match, I have to just put them back in order. Like, I feel like they're just not, I don't know. It's just too much for me. I mean, I can see why people do, I really do, but it's just not for me. Okay, and finally, question 16, now that I've been rambling on forever, and Jesus Christ, 28 minutes, alrighty. Good thing I went live, because there's no way my phone will let me record this much. Okay, number 16, if you could use only one deck, what would it be? So if I could use only one deck, so I would have to go again with the Anna K, just because, how I said, it's my soul deck, and it speaks to me. So if I was just gonna have to choose one, it would have to be the one that I use for others and that I use for myself. Some of these decks I would only use for myself, and some, yeah, I could only use for others, really, in a way. Like, not necessarily these ones I pulled out here today, but this deck is just my all-around. It's my worker. It's my everything deck. And as you can see, it's beautiful, and I love it. But anyhow, I'm going to stop rambling on now, and that was my video response for hashtag tarotobsessed. I am going to put a link to Katey Flowers' original video down below in the description box down there. And I'm sure, like, barely anybody made it this far. But if you did, hit subscribe. Yeah. I've been really enjoying watching everybody else's responses to this hashtag, and I just think it's super fun, and I plan on doing another video soon. So yeah, I can't wait to see the rest of your responses to this hashtag. Enjoy.